Hi there, everybody. This is not the Cruelty-Free Podcast, and Charlie is not with me. This is, I'm currently titling it Connor Has a Podcast, stumbling on my words. This is just going to be kind of my little solo thing I do where I pretty much am primarily going to most likely talk about wrestling. As you can see, this is a Macho Man shirt. I am a giant, obsessed wrestling fan, and I just wanted to talk about my SummerSlam predictions and my NXT Takeover Brooklyn 3 predictions. First, I'd like to take a second and point out that the build up to SummerSlam has not exactly been the greatest. Great Balls of Fire was not a good pay-per-view. I'd probably say Battleground was just a little bit better because it felt more like a pay-per-view, where Great Balls of Fire kind of felt like a version of Raw that I just, it wasn't good. There was some good stuff in Great Balls of Fire, but for the most part, the pay-per-view was kind of, I'd give that one a D, where I'd give Battleground a C minus at best. So, there you go. But I don't know what it is about WWE lately, but the build up to these pay-per-views, because the WrestleMania build up wasn't good either. Like it just doesn't seem like right now, like they really worry about stuff like that. Like you have the network. We don't have to put in the effort because you're going to watch it because you want the network to be worth your money. And if it wasn't for NXT and some of the little shows on the side they have, like I love Table for Three. The network is for hardcore fans, and those are the people they cater to. It'd be cool to see them give a shit again. If you like watching like old, Monday Night Raws and stuff like that. There was a time where they were really hitting on all cylinders, and it'd be really cool if they brought that back. I'm not going to get sidetracked with that stuff. I'm just here to kind of talk about, the cards for SummerSlam and NXT Takeover Brooklyn. All of those things I said about the WWE, ignore that for NXT, because I love what they do with NXT. NXT is always a great show. In fact, I always get kind of concerned when there's somebody I really like in NXT, because I don't want to see them go to the main roster, because they're not, they might not do anything with you. Like Samoa Joe, who is fucking amazing, is, a rare example of somebody. Kevin Owens, they flip-flop on how they want to book Kevin Owens. Sometimes they're like, oh, we want to book him really good, and then sometimes they're like, yeah, screw that, we're just going to book him like shit the entire time. You have people like Ty Dillinger, who, is beloved from NXT, and then they just don't do anything with him, and it's a shame. It's a shame that these guys, get this following, and then because, somebody who's in charge of booking the main roster people is either not paying attention to NXT or they just don't really care. And it's sad. It's sad that, you can go from being the talk of the town, if you will, to just being an afterthought and being a jobber. I don't even know why they signed Mike Kanellis, you know who. If they're not even going to use him, I don't even know why they signed him. I don't know why they, if Ty Dillinger and, Sami Zayn and all these people, like Aiden English, Luke Harper. I had a nightmare where Luke Harper showed up in TNA. Sorry, GFW. If these people are struggling to get on television, I don't even understand why you bring back Great Khali, even if it's just for a one-time thing. And then there's all of these people who are injured, and they're going to be coming back from injury, and then you have NXT call-ups. It's almost like, WWE definitely has, it's weird to have too much talent being a problem, but they have too much talent that needs to be featured, and they just don't have the time or the energy or the resources to feature them. And then, if you make, 205 Live, if you just make all of these other shows, they're going to have the British show someday. And then what will they do with these women in the Mae Young Classic, which I'm super excited to watch. I'm not trying to bash the WWE because they're doing a lot of stuff I like. I'm counting down the days until the Mae Young Classic. I'm not kidding. I'm really looking forward to that women's tournament. It's going to be really cool to watch. But you have all this talent and you don't have the time to do anything with them, so you have to make new shows, and then you're watching wrestling forever. I remember WrestleMania weekend. I watched everything they had on the network, including the pay-per-view itself, like from start to finish. I watched almost 20 hours of professional wrestling in a weekend. And then you take in like Ring of Honor and New Japan and shit. I mean, I even sometimes watch CZW, which I would not recommend to anybody. That promotion is bad. Oh God. Anyway, not to bash them because they have some very talented wrestlers. So you're just, all of a sudden it's just overkill. It's just overkill, and WWE's got to figure out something, because there's a lot of wrestlers who really deserve a chance to be in the spotlight that they're just not giving it to them, And I think if you gave them the chance to earn that, because I'm not saying, you should just put them on because I like them. If you give them the chance to earn that, which they're not doing, you'd have some real stars instead of just trying to, take this square peg, and we're going to call him Roman Reigns, and put him into this round hole you want him to be in, which is the star. It shouldn't just be, the focus. It shouldn't just be solely on Roman Reigns. It should be on everybody. And if Roman Reigns can be the face of your company, awesome. But I'm getting sidetracked. I'm not here to just talk about, I'm not here to just bitch about professional wrestling. I'm not just here to, complain or do a lot of those things. I love the WWE. I love owning the network. I really wish the last few pay-per-views I watched were worth the $10, but thank God for NXT, right? All right. So, I mean, Now that I got that little tangent out of the way real quick, let's just take a look at the card for the pay-per-view. I'm going to start with NXT Takeover Brooklyn 3, which, I mean, NXT hits every note just right. I mean, it's not always perfect, but more times than not, NXT is usually the best hour of television for professional wrestling. I love it very much. I love, pretty much everybody who shows up on NXT is amazing, and I always really like what they do. I mean, the Metro Brothers were kind of funny because I was just like, is that Deuce and Domino? And then Street Profits come out, and it's watching Crime Time and Metro Profit. It's watching Metro Profits. It's like watching Crime Time and Deuce and Domino have a match in 2006, except it's 11 years later, and it's a little bit less gimmicky, although it's still pretty heavily gimmicky. All right, so NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3. We have first we got Johnny Gargano versus Andrade Almas. I love Johnny Gargano. I feel like Almas has to win this, just with where they're going with his character. I mean, Johnny Gargano, he's kind of like a Sami Zayn, where he can lose and it won't necessarily hurt his character, but Almas has kind of been a jobber for the majority of him being in NXT. He's kind of lost to the next big thing. And it'd be cool to see him be taken seriously. He's an amazing wrestler. He's got great moveset. He's got tons of personality. I love his knees to the face he does. I think that's really cool. I love the character he portrays. I love the confidence. I love when he gets thrown in the ropes and he catches himself, although it seems like Zelina wants him to stop doing that. I'm not for it. I love that stuff. I think he's great. I love the showy stuff. Not so much comedy, but the showy stuff, the arrogant character stuff. I really enjoy seeing that. But that one's tough because I know that Johnny Gargano can be a huge part of NXT. I just don't necessarily think he needs the win. So I want to give it to Almas, though Johnny Gargano being as big as he is, as beloved as he is, I do kind of see them taking that into consideration over where they're taking Almas. Almas might lose and destroy. Okay, so no matter what happens, Almas is walking out of that building standing tall. Even if he loses, I do see him taking it out and getting that really mean edge that he needs for his character. So yeah, I see that. I see no matter what, whether he wins or loses, I'm going to go with he wins because I think he needs it. I would book him to win if I was a booker, but I'm not going to be that arrogant. I think he needs that win. But regardless, he walks out standing tall. Because Gargano can get beat up. He can get beat up, and it'll just make him even more of a face. Sorry that. So the next match, which will probably be Match of the night. Aleister Black versus Hideo Itami. Man, I mean, real quick, Aleister Black has surprised me greatly. I wasn't like doubting that he was going to be good, but every Aleister Black match I've watched, even the squash matches, usually leave me saying "holy shit" at least once or twice. And it's usually his finisher is amazing. He hits that kick perfect. He's probably got something where, like, you know, like before they do the match, he tells the guy, you got to drop. You got to drop like a sack of potatoes, otherwise it's not going to work. Because they do it every time, and it looks amazing. He's got great moveset. He looks really cool. I just don't... I mean, he's going to win. He's going to win. Though I could see Hideo Itami being the person who beats him the first time, though I would hope they save that for Bobby Roode. I would hope Bobby Roode bests him, you know, in the Bobby Roode way. But that's where I see that going. Hideo Itami, I don't know what they're gonna do with him. I don't know what their plan is for him. I mean, that's Kenta we're talking about, and he's a legend. He's not just a veteran of the sport. Like, he's on like a CM Punk level of just people, wrestling fans know him. And I wouldn't necessarily say the WWE, I wouldn't say NXT has been booking him bad. I mean, he's been injured for a good majority of being in NXT was spent being injured. So that's not their fault. I mean, he has no business, you know, they have no business booking him to wrestle, you know, people who have just started learning the moves. Don't call it a sport. But I don't know how many more losses he can handle, because I don't see him winning this one, and they've been booking him, you know, to be a really strong heel. So they have to book him because he's, you know, he just turned heel. I don't really think they can just book him to lose. If anything, I see this being not Aleister Black's first loss, maybe, but I don't see him winning. I see them maybe beating each other to a pulp and getting counted out. That's probably the best way to book that. I don't really think booking Hideo Itami to lose with a fresh new heel persona is good for him, and I don't really think Aleister Black needs to lose right now. I think Aleister Black, this might, you know, fly in the face of every Goldberg fan who ever existed, but I think Aleister Black should win and keep on winning until he faces Bobby Roode, and then Bobby Roode, you know, beats him through nefarious means. But that's how I would book Aleister Black, although I love Bobby Roode, so I shouldn't be allowed to book the Bobby Roode-Aleister Black match, because Bobby Roode will win. Bobby Roode will never lose that title if I had anything to say about it. All right, so the next match we have is Authors of Pain versus Sanity. Authors of Pain win. Sanity, I'm not necessarily under the impression they go to main, though that would be awesome, because I think Eric Young is good, and I think he should be a main roster star, preferably on SmackDown, because they need those guys. They need those weird heels. Authors of Pain are going to carry those titles until some face tag team, some big face tag team comes along and takes it from them. That's how I see that playing out. Obviously, Sanity is not going to win that match. They might, but I don't really. That's like a 1% just to make people go, what? That's how Sanity wins that match, is to make people surprised Sanity won that match. You know, there's talks of them possibly, well, not talks, but a lot of people see them going to SmackDown right after. That would be cool. I think that would be really sweet. I'd love to see that happen, if it happens. But then we run the risk of Vince McMahon being in charge of one of the best stables in NXT, and that makes me uncomfortable. Vince McMahon being in charge of the Eric Young, and Alexander Wolf and Nikki Cross's careers, because he's going to love Big Damo. He's going to love Killian Dane. Killian Dane is going to go very far in that company. But those other three who deserve to go just as far, I don't want Vince McMahon having his hands in that stuff. The next match we got is Asuka versus Ember Moon. I'm with a lot of other people. I don't ever want to see Asuka lose that title. I just don't think there's anybody who could do it. I don't think there's anybody who should do it. Asuka was such a find. She was such a find for the WWE. I don't ever want to fathom the idea that there's someone who can beat her, which, kind of makes her go to the main roster kind of hard, because I think she should dominate there too. The only way I could see Asuka losing that title is if she lost it to whoever wins the Mae Young Classic. And the only person I really see winning the Mae Young Classic is Kairi Sane, but that's a Connor's wrestling podcast for another day. And that's the only real way I could see her losing the titles, if she lost it to Kairi Sane, who wins the Mae Young Classic. Or maybe a heel through nefarious means, but I don't like that. That one, like the Aleister Black one, I'm cool with, because he needs a fire. Asuka, that just seems like a cheat. That just seems like a real cheat of a way to get the title off of Asuka, and not like heel heat, like that was not cool. You shouldn't have done that. That was bad. But I could see them going that route. I hope they don't go that route. Ember Moon's great. I think they need to give her a character. She doesn't have a character. I think they try to give her a character, but they don't really have anything for her right now as far as like a personality. I mean, obviously, turn her heel and see what she can do. Because if Asuka's leaving, they're going to need a new heel. And who's their heel? The Iconic Duo? I love them. They could never be heels. Like real, honest-to-God heels, I don't see it. Nikki Cross, I just see her going to Maine, I don't really... And that would be pretty sweet. Nikki Cross in the SmackDown Women's Division, that'd be sweet. So they're going to need a heel. I see them making Lacey Evans a big heel, but she's in the Mae Young Classic right now. So they're going to need like a main female heel. And if Asuka, I kind of consider her their only heel, even though she's more of a tweener. And she's going to Maine probably after SummerSlam. Sorry about the camera quality. Come on. I see Asuka going to Maine after SummerSlam. NXT is now without, The Rock that is their division. So I think Ember Moon being that Rock would probably be good. I think she should turn heel, though, for sure. I think a heel turn would be very good for her. It would allow her to explore that the more charismatic side. She doesn't. It's not like she lacks charisma in the ring. It's just she's trying to be the baby face. So the baby face persona is kind of hard to get in, especially when you have that kind of dangerous vibe. It's hard, like I don't know. I don't really feel it from her. I don't really feel. I would love to see her be more herself, and I feel like sometimes she's herself, but like in ring stuff, I don't really see it. Not in ring, but like promo wise, I don't see it. Because in ring, like she's great. I love her moves. I love what she does. The Eclipse finisher is great. I feel like it's, if you move up, you're fucking it up hard, and somebody is getting injured. And then the next match we got is Bobby Roode versus Drew McIntyre. Bobby Roode wins. I like Drew McIntyre. I did not expect to say that. Anybody who knows me back in the day, I was not a Drew McIntyre fan. I wasn't really a Drew Galloway fan, but I kind of warmed up to him. He is legit now. Like his everything he does feels real. Like he's really in a fight, and I think that is really cool. I think that is a really I don't know what you would call it, but I'm going to call it an inverted Alabama Slam. That thing he did on Oney Lorcan in his debut match is terrifying to watch. And I hope he does it every time I see him. But, oh, God, he just slams them, like, on their face. face, and it's fucking brutal. It's fucking brutal. I just don't see how you can protect your opponent doing that move. But it's great. His matches are awesome, and I think he and Oni Lorcan need to have another match. Bobby Roode wins that match, and then he goes on to face Roderick Strong, and I don't know. I see Roderick Strong being the one who takes that title off of Bobby Roode. I think Bobby Roode is ready for Maine. I think he's been ready for Maine, honestly. He could have been like AJ Styles where he just goes straight, but I appreciate that they've kept him in NXT because the stuff he's been doing is awesome. I love it. Those are my NXT Brooklyn predictions. I'm super excited for NXT Brooklyn. I think that's the only reason I've been looking forward to SummerSlam is because of the NXT Takeover. NXT Takeovers are always really good. I've never saw one that I did not enjoy immensely. I love them all every time. That is my NXT predictions for the third time. So now we're going to go on to SummerSlam. It was funny because last year's SummerSlam, I was excited for. I was actually looking forward to it a lot, and then it just kind of was disappointing throughout. I mean, there were, the AJ Styles John Cena match was great. I mean, there were some good matches in it for sure, but I just remember it being super disappointing. I mean, you had the match that should have been good, Dean Ambrose Dolph Ziggler, was just lame. Just been there, done that, and then the main event, the less we say about Brock Lesnar, Randy Orton, the better I feel. So we'll just skip that one. But this year's, I don't know. I think it'll be surprisingly good. Probably because the build-up for it hasn't been amazing. I mean, some of it's been great, but overall, I don't really feel excited for it. So we got John Cena versus Baron Corbin. John Cena wins that match. I don't really see Baron Corbin winning that match. He might get disqualified too, though. But it's John Cena. It's SummerSlam. Baron Corbin's not an independent megastar. I don't see John Cena putting him over. Just rip that Band-Aid off right now if you're a Baron Corbin fan. I just don't see it happening. And then we have Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt. That one's kind of tough. I mean, that one can go either way. I want Bray Wyatt to win that match. I believe in Bray Wyatt. I wish whoever was booking him did too. I really wish they would get behind him. He's a great character. People want to see him succeed every time he is in the ring. He even if his promos are kind of the same old thing, they're always really good. They're just always the same old thing, and then there's no payoff. There's got to be a payoff. You could if the Undertaker back in the early 90s when the Undertaker was around, if you had this big evil mythical figure who lost all the time, we wouldn't be crying at WrestleMania 33 when he takes off his hat and his gloves, and it wouldn't be a big moment. People would just start to not take him seriously. And Bray Wyatt is kind of at that point now where it's just him in a feud is almost well, I'm glad they're doing stuff with him, but he's not going to win it. And I like Finn Balor. I do. I don't think he needs this win necessarily. And if they want to make this a real feud, I think Bray Wyatt should win it. But the WWE has this kind of nasty habit of having the face win and then continuing the feud anyway, even though there's no real point after that. That one, I don't know. I want to say Bray Wyatt wins that match. Mostly because I want to believe they want to do stuff with Bray Wyatt. Next, we have Big Show versus Big Cass. That match is happening. The naive person in me wants to say Big Cass wins, but the realist in me knows Big Show and Randy Orton, and R-Truth for that matter, kind of have this habit of winning matches they have no business winning. I don't know why Enzo Amore has to be in a shark cage in this match. I don't think that's important whatsoever, but I'm going to go with Big Cass winning. I think all of those online rumors about Big Cass being well-liked backstage for his look bodes well for him for sure. It's just that match is going to be the bathroom break match. And I don't really see I don't see the drama in that match. Enzo Amore might cost Big Show that match. I feel like maybe that'll be to turn Enzo Amore heel. I don't know why. I just don't really see, I don't see any direction for this. I don't see, where does Enzo Amore go from here? Where does Big Show go from here? Where does Big Cass go from here? I just don't see it. I see Enzo Amore, I feel like the only way this would really pay off is if Enzo Amore turned heel and Big Cass and Enzo were now a heel tag team. Because they definitely broke them up too early. And I don't think they want to fire Enzo Amore because he sells a lot of merchandise, but I know that he, as a singles competitor, is probably not going to make it very far. So it's just here's what you do to fix that problem, because I don't want to see Enzo Amore manage the Big Show. Big Show doesn't need that. And Big Show, and Big Show's Big Show. He doesn't need a manager, and he doesn't really need the win, but I do see them giving it to him because he is Big Show. And Vince McMahon loves Big Show. And I don't think him winning is necessarily a bad thing. I don't really see what the point of him winning is. But, I mean, Big Cass could win it. I feel like the only way he'd win it is if Enzo Amore accidentally causes Big Show to lose somehow. I don't really know why he needs to be in a shark cage, but he's in a shark cage. Probably to sell more tickets. Oh, man, shark cage match. Raw. Oh, boy, better buy a ticket to that shit. And then we got New Day versus Usos. New Day wins. Because they're the New Day. They're gonna win. They're gonna keep those titles. Probably get in a program with, I imagine, Sanity. Because SmackDown doesn't have any heel tag teams. They don't. They have the Usos end of list, unless they want to start taking the Ascension seriously, or they bring back Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, which they might do. It might be Luke Harper and Eric Rowan coming back to challenge them. I mean, those would be some cool matches. That would be really interesting. I mean, I, for one, don't care how many times I see Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, I don't really care how many times the Wyatt family come back together. I would just like them to commit to it. But if the question will be, where does New Day go from here? Because they're retaining those titles. That is the tag team to build your SmackDown tag team division around. And then we got Randy Orton versus Rusev. Rusev wins. I think Randy Orton's at the phase of his career now where he really wants to put over talent. And Rusev is a guy who needs those big wins. For some reason, the people in charge seem to think all you got to do is have these guys face these big names, and that's enough to say, all right, they're over. But it's not the case. They need wins. They need victories. They need to stand tall at the end of the episode. It's not enough to just go, all right, so we're going to have Rusev face John Cena at WrestleMania, and there we go. We made a star. He lost that match, and that's all people are going to remember. And he didn't win the feud overall. Same with people like Kevin Owens. He should, and not to just bash John Cena, I'm just saying, if Bray Wyatt is facing The Undertaker at WrestleMania 31 and he just lost to Brock Lesnar, why isn't Bray Wyatt winning his match? Well, he's not Brock Lesnar, but he should win his match. He should win that match. I'm just saying, you can't just just being in the match doesn't make the guy over. At least to an audience perspective. I don't know what it says backstage. I mean, obviously there's that, well, The Undertaker wants to face you. That's a huge sign of respect. Cool. That needs to translate to the audience. How's that going to translate to the audience? Those people who aren't marks, those people who aren't reading all of the dirt sheets. How is that going to translate to the audience? Rusev needs to beat Randy Orton. He does. Rusev is a future main eventer, and he should be treated as such. But they haven't really been doing that. I mean, they've been putting him in, big profile matches with people, but they really need to establish him as one of the next guys, especially on SmackDown, because we'll get into that into a little bit, but SmackDown is hurting on the main event heel right now. You have Kevin Owens and Jinder and Corbin, and that's it, really. So you need, and Kevin Owens is probably going to turn face if the if what's going on at house shows is any indication as to the direction they're taking him after his feud with AJ Styles. Which brings us to our next match. AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens for the United States Championship with Shane McMahon as a special guest referee. AJ Styles is going to win that match. He's AJ fucking Styles. And I love that the WWE is recognizing how talented AJ Styles is and how easy you can build a brand with that guy. AJ Styles is an amazing wrestler. If you know how he is backstage, he's an amazing person. He just seems really down to earth. And I mean, I'm in no way a fan of TNA, but the fact that, he made that promotion what it was. And when they first did the brand split, AJ Styles made SmackDown what it is today. I mean, there were other people, obviously, but AJ Styles was, the champion. Dean Ambrose should have been that guy, but he didn't do it. AJ Styles was able to make that happen, and it shows. And the fact that he's United States champion, I think, is amazing. I think he and Kevin Owens have done great things with that title. I'd really like to see, like what the Miz has done for the Intercontinental title. These guys are doing for the United States title right now on SmackDown, and it's great. I think it's awesome. And AJ Styles is going to win that match. And then Kevin Owens will probably enter a thing with Shane McMahon. That's the only way. That's the only reason I see them bringing Shane McMahon into this is to do a thing with Kevin Owens, so Kevin Owens can win that and be a major heel. Although it makes me wonder why he's saving Sami Zayn in house shows. Like, what are they doing with that? Okay, so next we got Neville versus Akira Tozawa. This one's a tough one. I really want to say Akira takes the title. I like what Neville's been doing. I think he's done an amazing job of making that cruiserweight title matter and making 205 Live good television. I mean, again, didn't do it single-handedly, but you need that person to build around, and I think Neville really did that. Neville really did exactly that. He had a great program, a great match with Jack Gallagher. Like one of the best matches I've ever seen, and it was the only good match in Fastlane. The only one that was worth talking about. And it wasn't just because it was the only good match. But it's because it was an amazing match. But Akira Tozawa has done something I don't think any other babyface has been able to do, and that's really get the fans behind him. I mean, people like Jack Gallagher, but anytime Akira comes out, like the WWE has really spent their time building up Akira Tozawa to be a big deal, and I think that shows. And I think they're going to show that by putting the title on him. I think Neville is ready to move on to do something else. I don't think he should just be relegated. It's not a good word, but that's kind of what it is. And I'll talk about that stuff at a later time too. But I think Neville's ready to do other things. I'd love to see him in this current persona turn face, and face like the Miz for the Intercontinental title. Because what is Miz doing with that title right now, other than just holding it? They need to figure out what they want to do with the Intercontinental title for sure. That's so many syllables, I have to say. Intercontinental. But no, I see, and they really want to build up Titus Worldwide. I think putting it on Akira would be the good thing. I'm gonna go with Akira Tozawa on that. But Neville's done great work, so he could honestly win that title. He could honestly retain, I should say. And then we have the match I'm most excited for, and at the same time kind of apprehensive about, Jinder Mahal versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I hope I said that. Nakamura? I think I did. I have such trouble pronouncing his last name. Shinsuke's winning that match. Like, I want him to win that match. He needs to win that match in my eyes. And I just don't really I think Jinder Mahal has done a lot better than anybody, including myself, have given him credit for. But I don't really... He's not a main eventer. I don't see it. I don't see it after this. Like, what does he do after this? I don't see even down the line. I don't really see him touching that main event ever again. And it's not necessarily me. I'm not trying to bag on him. I just don't think he can do it. I don't. I think this stuff with Randy Orton's been really good. I think Jinder Mahal, for what he's been doing, has been a good champion. But, I mean, you're going against people like AJ Styles, Kevin Owens, Shinsuke, fucking, Sami Zayn when he finally gets there. I just don't. I think Mahal will get lost in the shuffle, really, after this. But I see Shinsuke winning. Shinsuke's going to win this match. It's just a question of does Corbin cash in? And that's where I don't know. I don't think so. I don't see Corbin cashing in yet. I think he's going to hold that Money in the Bank for a while. I hope he does, honestly. I think Baron is a good heel. I want to see Baron become a great heel. And I think the only way to do that is if he holds on to that briefcase for a while. Okay, I'm going to level with you. I want to see Shinsuke hold that title for a long time. I want to see him hold it all the way to Mania. I want to see him decimate people. I want to see him take on AJ Styles at WrestleMania. And then, after this amazing 6.5-star match, Baron Corbin cashes in his Money in the Bank. That's how I would book that. Is after this amazing, spectacular match, Baron Corbin, who is, almost actually disliked by the wrestling fans, comes in, cashes in. He's the champion. He just cashed in on one of your heroes. Ha ha ha. Best heel of all time. That's how I would book that. But Shinsuke's going to win against Jinder, and then I just wonder what happens to Jinder after that. And then we got Alexa Bliss versus Sasha Banks or Nia Jax. Sasha Banks is going to beat Nia Jax, and then I think Sasha Banks is going to take that title off of Alexa Bliss. And then honestly, probably lose to Nia Jax. Like, I don't really see what an Alexa Bliss match versus Nia Jax does other than kind of a storyline purpose. But I don't really think they need that. And they're basically a tag team, and everybody knows their friends backstage and stuff like that. So I don't really feel the drama of an Alexa Bliss Nia Jax match. And also there was that match at Great Balls of Fire, so there's more reason for Sasha Banks to defeat Alexa Bliss. I don't see Alexa Bliss walking out with that title regardless, unless it's against Nia Jax and they do like a face turn with Nia Jax. That's the only way I really see it. But if it's Sasha Banks winning tomorrow, Sasha Banks is taking that title off of Alexa Bliss. Period. And then we have Naomi versus Natalya. See, this is where now Naomi's going to probably beat Natalya, but Carmella is probably going to cash in, and she's probably going to walk out SmackDown Women's Champion, which I think works for her. I think with Ellsworth, it's a lot easier for her to become the great heel than it would be for Baron Corbin if he cashed in at SummerSlam, because Ellsworth is just instant heat, and Carmella is a very good heel, and I think she'd be fine. I think that would work with her character, is if she cashed in at SummerSlam, that'd be a huge SummerSlam moment too, and she walks out Women's Champion. I think that's good for so Naomi wins, but Carmella cashes in and she wins. I don't think the first SmackDown, after the controversy of Ellsworth, technically winning the match, having to redo it, and then having the first woman Money in the Bank holder lose, I don't think that's a good idea at all. I think that's a very bad idea. And I would hope they don't go that direction. And Carmella would make a great SmackDown Women's Champion. She would. I said it. Okay. So finally, we have our main event: Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns versus Samoa Joe versus Braun Strowman. And if Brock Lesnar loses, he's leaving the WWE, which he's gonna do anyway at some point. This is a tough one. A few months ago, it was going to be Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns, and it was very obvious Roman Reigns was probably going to win that match. But now, this is something they had to do last minute, because Samoa Joe is so over as a character, and Braun Strowman is the top face of Raw. Even though he's kind of a heel, I don't think there's a single person who in that audience who doesn't love Braun Strowman. And I know they're trying to make Brock Lesnar kind of a babyface, but most people aren't interested in Brock Lesnar. I want to say Strowman wins because I believe that he has put in the best work out of the four. Like, if I had to put who has done the most with what they are given, it'd go Strowman, Joe, and then Reigns, Lesnar. Because they've not. I'm not trying to bag on Reigns, but I just don't think. I still just don't see what they see in him. I mean, he looks good. He puts on great matches occasionally. But Strowman, I mean, you give him, all right, Strowman, so Roman is going to back you up into a car, back you up into a truck, and you're going to come out of this ambulance and you're going to look bloody and messed up. I mean, that is a moment that I personally will never forget. And to me, that was a face turn right there. That was a huge baby face turn when he pushed everybody away and told them to leave him alone, and he looked at Kurt Angle and he was messed up and he was demented and he was not finished yet with Roman Reigns. That to me was like, that is a face turn right there. That is some A+ face work. Hopefully it was on purpose. I want to say he wins the title. I really want to say he walks out as Universal Champion. But Vince McMahon is in charge. So Roman Reigns is probably going to walk out as champion. That is the direction they're going, and if we like the WWE, that's something we just kind of have to accept as fact. Is God bless Roman Reigns, God bless him, and everybody else can take a hike. I want Strowman to win. I'd love Samoa Joe to win. He's not going to win. He's probably there to eat a pin Brock Lesnar's not going to take. Brock Lesnar, I don't think he's going to win because they need that championship on Monday Night Raw. I don't want to say Roman Reigns wins, but Roman Reigns wins. If Roman Reigns does not win, Strowman wins. There we go. It's either Roman Reigns or it's Strowman, and the fans sometimes get what they want. There you go. Those are my predictions for SummerSlam and NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 3. I want to do more wrestling podcasts as solo stuff, so look for those in the future. I'm definitely going to be talking about the Mae Young Classic, which I am 100% excited for. I want to talk about 205 Live. I want to talk about the too much talent problem in WWE. I want to give recaps of NXT. So look forward to those. Thank you guys, and have a great day.